Hello, I'm Karma Kitaj. I'm your host for A Livelihood, New Adventures as We Age. Today I'm going to introduce you to Roberta Lenard. And Roberta and I got together, just maybe a few months ago because I had a problem with a tingly arm. So we will talk today about how she fixed me. Welcome, Roberta.
Thank you, Karma. Nice to see you again.
So when we first met, I was suffering a little bit with this kind of numbness in my arm, and that just came around intermittently. And I discovered from a mutual friend that you do some very interesting work called MAT, muscle activation therapy, right?
Yes.
So why don't you just say a little bit about, well, I guess first of all, about how you even got into doing this?
Sure. I started out as a exercise physiologist and had my own personal training business I've had my own personal training business for the past 17 years. So I've worked with clients, and I've also hired and trained trainers to work for my company. And we work in offices, homes, hospitals, different settings with individuals. And over the years, I felt that we were becoming very competent at working with people with injuries, because anybody who signs up with a personal trainer is usually over the age of 30 or 40, and people are bound to have either some kind of chronic injury, or perhaps they had an injury or surgery in the past that kind of limits what they can do. So we became very adept at communicating with physical therapists and bringing some great people and chiropractors into our gyms and educating us about how to work with some of these injuries. But we would still find that there were sort of chronic problems, and basically we just would avoid those areas. We would say, well, if you can't run, then let's do something other than running. Let's do biking, let's do swimming. If you can't do this motion, let's try this motion. You know, we kind of worked around it, and that seemed okay for a while. As somebody who's been in the fitness industry for a long time, since 1979, I was very suspect of most of what's out there, of most of the courses, of the systems, of the techniques that sort of claim to, solve all of your problems. They just sounded like, well, I'll look into it, but I'm very rarely impressed. And when I heard about MAT, I actually was working with a friend of mine who was going through this internship to become an MAT practitioner. So it's called muscle activation technique, and you become a certified specialist. That's how you become a practitioner. It's a 10-month internship. It just made so much sense to me. The whole process, the whole procedures made sense, and especially in terms of, dealing with people who exercise. Because you assume when you start an exercise program that everything's working properly. But the idea behind the MAT work is to sort of identify where the muscle imbalances are through a checks and balances system that is very sound. That's a really necessary practice, and we work together with physical therapists. But what we attempt to do is not necessarily go to where the tightness is, but to identify, or not the tight muscle. We look for these restrictions in motion, and we try to get back the ones that aren't participating. So the process is able to identify who's not contributing to holding up this knee. And what's
that's what you mean, Roberta, when you talk about getting certain muscles to start firing again.
Yeah. It's sort of just getting them to participate, to help hold your joints together. And then what ends up happening is you have more muscles doing what they're supposed to do naturally, and your body just naturally kind of follows a more normal path. You feel stronger, you feel less pain, you feel less tightness, and you can actually recover from some of these long-standing injuries and imbalances.
Why don't we show that little demo that we just did?
Great. Perfect.
Hi, Roberta.
Hi, Karma. Great to see you again.
So I told you that I've been having this recurrent problem in my kind of a tingly feeling in my arm.
Yep.
So
Yes.
I know that MAT might be able to be helpful.
I think it might be helpful. So we're going to do a short demonstration right now, and what I'd like to do first is do a range of motion piece and just see what's going on with your neck and your shoulders and see if there's any limits in range of motion. Then I'll do a little bit of muscle testing, and then we'll do a little bit of treatment. So there's 3 phases. So the first part is the range of motion, and what I'm going to do is have you just turn your head all the way to one side. So turn your head as far as you can, and then come back to the middle, and then turn your head as far as you can that way. So what I'm looking for, come back to the middle again, is whether there's any difference in the two sides from right to left. And I'm also going to look at, I'm going to have you bring your arms out to the sides and then just turn in as far as you can. And I'm looking to see if there's a difference there. And then turn out as far as you can. And I'm looking for a difference there. Okay, so we do the range of motion first. That kind of tells me what to do as far as some muscle testing. So what I can do is, if you want to just turn this way, the muscle testing is really just to see if the muscles can contract on demand. So when you tell the muscle to contract, or I tell you to tell the muscle to contract, it can actually do something, in an immediate kind of a way. So if you just hold your arm like this and keep your elbow nice and straight, I'm just going to try to pull your arm towards me, and all I'd like you to do is resist that motion. Don't let me pull towards me. It's going to be very gentle. Okay. And you hold it for about 2 seconds, and that's all it is, okay? So ready, resist. And now turn your arm out. So this is a second test, and I'm going to try to pull towards me. Ready, resist. Okay, so that's a little harder to hold. So that's a muscle that I could actually treat. So all I'm going to do is just, if you want to turn this way a little bit, is I'm just going to apply some pressure. It sort of looks like it's a massage, but I'm actually pushing more into the bony attachment points for this muscle rather than pushing into the belly of the muscle. And the idea is not to relax the muscle, but to get the muscle to fire and to participate in holding all of the structure together. So by applying that pressure, if you then turn back around again, and now that muscle should hold when we retest it. So you're going to hold your arm like this, turn out, and don't let me pull this way. Okay? So you're just going to resist that motion. Ready? Resist. And so that's holding much better.
And it's completely non-invasive.
Exactly. It's just me pushing on points, Yeah. And it's not painful, and you walk away feeling a lot better.
Well, that was a good demonstration, I think, of what it's like.
Well, it's helpful to see a visual, because I feel like it's good not to just sit on the sidelines because something's tight or something's painful. You've got to look around and see what can work to get you back out there and feeling really good.
And I want to remember to mention, because I think that your company has been voted one of the very top fitness companies in the country.
Oh, yes, right? yes. We were lucky enough to be voted one of the top trainers by Vogue magazine back in 1995. And then about 10 years later, we were voted one of the top in Men's Journal in 2000. I believe it was 2005 and 2006, 2 years in a row.
But you're not resting on your laurels. I understand. You are moving on and learning a whole new way of working with people's bodies. Acupuncture.
Well, acupuncture. So, I just, I think sort of based on your work and your emphasis and how you inspire people in your own work with your practice and your program, the whole idea for me of getting older is in some ways sort of exciting, because I think as time goes by, there are more things available, number one. Number two, I think you sort of mature or maybe shift in what we want our life to encompass. As I was beginning to turn 50, 25 years later, I said to myself, well, what direction do I want to be moving in now to sort of set myself up so that my career and my way of being in the world all kind of meshes together. And I feel like I'm moving more towards overall well-being now. And the physical fitness aspect is still going to be there. I'm still going to keep doing that. But to integrate in Oriental medicine makes so much sense to me, and sort of is an offshoot of my MAT exposure, where we're looking at the root cause of the problem. So rather than just treating the tight symptom, we're looking for who else isn't participating that's making all of this unstable.
So we're going to have to wind up, Roberta.
Okay, thank you so much, Karma. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Lovely
for
to see you again. Thank you.